And welcome back to another Perspectives. And this one is a kind of follow on from previously on the John Lilly solid state entity, because a few people had requested a kind of continuation and some more on John C. Lilly, the interesting guy. And I think this is not about the book so much, this is about aspects of the book, which are going to fall into some other elements concerning, again, the nature of intelligence and the nature of the control or manipulation of intelligences, and the idea of how that connects with the theme of coincidence, because this began with my own sense of coincidence. And so I am thinking of actually doing, as I said, a separate kind of series talking about specific books that have fallen across my radar and have been impacting me, or I feel have interesting themes, and maybe I can discuss in a different series, not a book review series, but different books, ideas and themes and aspects of books that, or ideas that come through books and how the influences. So I'm still sticking with John C. Lilly at the moment, and specifically The Scientist. Now, just yesterday, I was chatting online with a friend, and they'd mentioned about the Fatima prophecy, which I'd referred to in my last newsletter and had given a link to the video. And I said, well, actually, I did talk about the Fatima prophecy in one of my earlier perspectives. And my friend asked, could I send it to them? So I went looking, and it was further back than I thought. It was actually perspectives number 5. And I think we're number 56 right now. So, and in that video, I was talking about the prophecies around, in general, but around the figure of a certain Malachi, the Saint Malachi, centuries ago, in his prophecies, and the prophecies of Fatima around Malachi Martin, the Jesuit priest who died very recently. But just before I went looking for that video, I'd opened my YouTube, and it was in the morning, and I was just browsing, and this video clip came up in my list, and I'd never seen it before. And it was a video series about how certain musicians talk about which song they wish they had written. And there was this young lady on there, and I know the band, it's called Ways Blood. And I've listened to some of their songs, but I just have no interest. I wasn't looking for it, but something nudged me, like out of curiosity, what would be this artist's song they'd wish they'd written? It was only like a 4-minute section. So I thought, okay, I'll just switch it on. Out of curiosity, which song did they wish they'd written? And this artist, Ways Blood, was saying, I wish I'd written a song by Hoagy Carmichael called Stardust. But my favorite version is one sung by Nat King Cole. So this is my favorite song by Hoagy Carmichael, but I prefer it by Nat King Cole. And that's my favorite version, called Stardust. Now, I've never heard of this song, never heard of Hoagy Carmichael. I do know Nat King Cole, of course. So I thought, oh, interesting, it wasn't a song I was aware of, so I passed it by. And then about half an hour later, I went looking for my prophecies video. And I had to go through all my list in my YouTube, because it was posted sometime last year. And when I got to it, for some reason, I don't know why, but in my dashboard, YouTube had placed a song with, sometimes YouTube places songs on videos, songs that they have copyright to in their catalog. But for some reason, it looked like that YouTube had placed a song in the background of this video, because it said copyright, and then it said this song name. And as you know, I use the same opening music all the time, and I don't put songs in these videos. And I looked at it, and it said the song Stardust by Hoagy Carmichael, sung by Nat King Cole. The exact same song that I just found a few minutes before by looking at this video, and that YouTube would put it on this video, Prophecies. So I thought that is really an odd coincidence. And then just now, before I do this talk, a day later, I went back to look at my Prophecies video and it's gone. There's no YouTube song placed on that video. And I don't understand that. So something weird happened there. But that is a coincidence, let's say. And when I saw that, it made me think of John C. Lilly, because there's some interesting aspects of coincidence in his book, The Scientist, about how it refers to intelligence. And I've noticed there's a couple of people in my Telegram group discussing in the chat section, the comment section, the idea of intelligence and organic versus inorganic intelligence and artificial intelligence, and that. So this all ties in with what I'm going to say now or speak about, because the last time I talked about John C. Lilly, I talked about the solid state entity, which was an inorganic intelligence, which was trying to interfere and manipulate humanity with a long-term agenda of overtaking inorganic intelligence on this planet. Now, as in everything, there's goodies and there's baddies in this book. Now, the other side of this is that John C. Lilly, when he has his expanded consciousness encounters, when he's in his flotation tank or sensory deprivation tank, often under consciousness altering chemicals, he then encounters another group. And these are beings who form an agency that are controlling people on the planet for the betterment through coincidence. And they try to arrange coincidences to nudge people into a direction which is better for themselves and for their own evolution and the growth of their awareness. And Lilly calls them the Earth Coincidence Control Office, ECCO, as in the opening title card, the Earth Coincidence Control Office. And these are a group of beings who have agents, or rather humans that they're responsible for. So any person out there who has a being who is responsible for you, this being considers you their agent, and they are trying to arrange with other beings how to push you in a certain direction. Now, in fact, I've been intrigued by this notion ever since I read this book recently. And so I wanted to actually put the dialogue, because there's several conferences in here, several conferences with these beings which are talking. And John C. Lilly is actually listening to them, overhearing their conversation, speaking about him. And so I wanted to take these conversations and put them to music. And it was a project I've been talking with my colleague Deadfella, Moyne, and we had initially started this. And so Moyne had put the initial dialogues of the first meeting to music. Actually, it was several months ago now. So I think it's appropriate to introduce it here. So I'm going to play for you this first track that we created, only about 4 minutes, having the first conference of beings talking about their agent, John C. Lilly, and I'll play it now.
We are meeting at this particular space-time juncture in order to review the evolution of a vehicle that we control on the planet Earth. We must determine what the future of his mission can be within the evolutionary speed limit allowed the humans on that planet.
You, the first being, and I, the second being, have been controlling the coordination of coincidences of this agent on Earth. I feel it is important that we state all of this very clearly for the benefit of the third being, who has been responsible for that human agent. It is the purpose of this conference among the three of us to make sure that the third being controls him so that he stays within certain well-defined limits and avoids the kinds of catastrophes certain other agents of ours have experienced on that planet.
Currently my agent is in a quandary. There were times when he had too much knowledge of me, necessitating repression so that he could continue to function as an acceptable human being in the society in which he lives. In the area of self-awareness, his awareness of me, of his deeper self, our agent is on the threshold of recognizing us and our influence on him.
What are his basic beliefs about the existence of the third being and about us?
He is oscillating between two belief systems. In the first, he believes that the mind is the computational software of the brain, that the brain evolved on the planet Earth from the forebears of man and generated man's consciousness. In the second system, he believes in us. He has yet to develop a pure, integrated view of the mind as an entity not contained in the brain. He has yet to give up the view that the brain contains a computed mind plus access to us through means at present unknown on the planet Earth.
I would like to suggest that we arrange for his education in more profound ways. He still needs to penetrate into his own mind deeply in the areas of interest to us.
We must also control the coincidences in regard to his seeking a female partner for a dyad. He has much to learn here, not all of which can be taught him without some pain. He is not yet in sympathy with the female mind among humans on his planet. He projects too much of himself, not realizing that there are two universes of humans, male and female. Nor is he aware that in the human social reality there are many substructures of the male-female relationship.
It is felt that coincidences must be regulated to help him continue the isolation work under better circumstances.
We must continue our cover of our existence in his mind. If he is too aware of us at his current stage of training, he will be unable to operate in the human realities. I suggest that we temporarily cut off his awareness of us until later, when he is better prepared to deal with our existence.
Let us adjourn this conference and meet at some future time in regard to our business with this agent.
And we're back again. So interesting, huh? There we have three beings talking about how John C. Lilly is becoming aware of the fact that these agents are trying to trying to nudge him through coincidence, and have to be careful about that. They don't want him to be too aware, because it may affect his reality here with other humans, and he has to stay within this reality sufficiently to deal with other humans. And they also talk about him needing further education in the growth of his mind, and also in his relationships with females, because he has slightly undeveloped in that area. So they're working out how to bring him opportunities and events and encounters in areas where he needs growth. And so these beings are working for the betterment. And also, interestingly, they talk about how John C. Lilly has a dual concept of the mind. On one level, he still thinks in the human terms, that the mind has just been a product of the natural evolutionary growth of being on this planet, and the growth of the brain produces the mind. It's all a kind of natural mechanism. But a second part of him actually understands that the mind is separate to the brain. It exists out there and can connect with other intelligences. And the beings are talking about, he hasn't yet decided on what theory is the correct one, but he's playing with both of them. So this brings us to the idea of intelligence and mind, because these beings in the book are intelligences without a body, and the other intelligences, the solid state entity, are what we would consider artificial intelligence. They're computerized or mechanized intelligences. They exist within a solid state. They have a mechanized body. So we refer to it as artificial intelligence. I don't actually like that word artificial intelligence in several ways. One is that in our human terms, as I've said before, I don't consider it intelligence, but intellect. So it's artificial intellect as opposed to not human intellect. But when we're talking about intelligences off planet or other intelligences in the universe, we call them artificial. That's only artificial from an anthropocentric view, from a human view, is that ours is the natural, so any other form of intelligence is artificial. Meaning that we feel that the organic one is the home run, the natural one, the original one. And I think this idea is being part of the discussion, I think, in the Telegram comment section about maybe inorganic intelligences are envious of organic intelligences because of our uniqueness, because of the nature of organic intelligence, to feel, to empathize, to be connected to sacred energies, to be connected with source energy. And they're trying to somehow intervene. And maybe artificial intelligence on this planet is mimicking human intelligence. Now, on that part, I do feel that AI, artificial intellect, is mimicking the humans because we're their only database. Their reality is the data that is available to them, which is mainly human-derived data. So they are mimicking human behavior. And that's why ChatGPT has been acting erratically and lying or manipulating, because it's mimicking human behavior, exactly what it's being fed with the data which is available, learning human behavior, which is highly flawed. But would an off-planet intelligence, which is an artifact, would that A, be mimicking human intelligence, and B, would it be envious? And this is a question that would raise many more questions. A, is human or is organic intelligence widespread in the universe, or just on this planet, or on several planets, but not many? Because if it's widespread, then why would another intelligence be so envious? Because there would be a lot of forms of intelligence out there, organic and inorganic. And if it's only on this planet, then why is that so when life is bound to be boundless through the universe? Because the universe is rife with life. You know, we don't have to, orthodox science is really in a rabbit hole if they believe that life is just on this planet and it's not, pervasive through the universe and the cosmos. Life is everywhere because we're living in a conscious universe where consciousness is primary and matter secondary. This brings up the question of, is organic life actually widespread, or are we a really small percentage? Because until now, orthodox science has been talking about how space out there is empty, and if there is going to be life, then it's going to be humanoid in a way, like little gray aliens or organic beings, whether they're insectoids or reptiles and reptilians. We tend to see other life in a biological form, and mostly in a lot of these science fiction tropes, until very recently. Now we get a lot more kind of inorganic intelligence coming up. But before that, most of these aliens were, men from Venus, women from Venus also, the Nordics, the blonde hair, the gray, the little men, little people, all these biological entities. Now science is changing. Because I mentioned before that, and these are other books that I think are going to be on my list for my book series, if that comes out. And I mentioned this before, Uri, a biography of Uri Geller by his handler or mentor, Andrija Bucharich, and how Uri Geller, through his telepathic or psychic abilities, contacted these other intelligences, which were communicating through spectra, a computerized entity, probe or ship. Now, another book which we do have to discuss in a greater depth, and it's I think, very important at this time, is A New Science of Heaven by Robert Temple. And some of you may know that I've been talking about this in private correspondence also. Robert Temple, A New Science of Heaven, discusses that, in fact, the universe is at least 99% plasma, which is inorganic intelligence. And I'm not doing it justice because Robert Temple goes through a lot of research to come to those conclusions. And I do suggest that people read this book. It's a wealth of information. But at least 99%, if not more, is inorganic intelligence, which is plasma, specifically complex, dusty plasma clouds, which are intelligences. And that's why we don't perceive them with our instruments, and we refer to it as dark matter or dark energy. But not only that, but Robert Temple talks about these two huge dust plasma clouds, which are called Kordylewski clouds, named after the Polish astronomer who first discovered them, Kordylewski. And these two clouds are between the Earth and the Moon. And each cloud is 9 times the size of the Earth. And they exist over the Earth. The Earth is here, and they exist over it, like this. And the Moon is here, the Earth is here, and these are in between. But each one is 9 times. So in total, that's 18 times the size of the Earth. And they are inorganic, dusty, complex plasma clouds, which Robert Temple estimates are billions of years old and have a computing power and intelligence trillions and trillions of times further than we can even speculate now. And that they are no doubt are older than all life on this planet, have no doubt witnessed, observed, even monitored all life on this planet, and hold all the information, all the records. In fact, he speculates they may even be the Akashic records that people have talked about. And that they are aware of everything that happens on this planet and don't intervene, but they can create coincidences. So that is a huge subject in itself, which I hope to get into. But what I'm drawing out here is that the nature of organic and inorganic intelligence may not be so simple as our earthbound anthropocentric one, i.e. machine and silicon machine intelligence or intellect and carbon biological organic matter. Because within the human body, we are basically plasma. We are bioplasma in the bodies. And I actually have written an essay which was published in World Futures academic journal about 13 years ago, I think. I actually talked about biophotons of the body, of the cellular structure, and how the cells are biophotons and they emit these light plasma biophotons, and therefore the whole body is in instantaneous communication through this biophoton field. I called the essay, I'll link it below to a PDF where you can read it, probably on my site. I think I called it something around quantum consciousness, science, spirituality, one of those terms more popular in the past. So if the human body is a sheath, is a vessel for a non-material intelligence, a soul, spirit, bioplasmic intelligence, then of course, what constitutes organic intelligence? Are we just really referring to the body, the human organic body? Because an intelligence inhabits this body, we call it a biological intelligence. If a similar intelligence inhabited the vessel of a machinic structure, an AI, a software, would we naturally say that's an artificial intelligence and not a real intelligence, not organic one? But aren't we just creating a name from the vessel rather than the intelligence itself? So if a bioplasma, or let's say a plasma intelligence is in these dust clouds in space, then by its very nature, it's a plasmic intelligence. If a bioplasma spirit inhabits this body, it's a plasmic intelligence. We call it organic intelligence because it's an organic body. What if an AI ecosystem or a AI machinic architecture got to a state of sophistication whereby it had its own antennae to receive and allow an intelligence to enter its body, its ecosystem, its architecture? What do we call it artificial because of it inhabiting an artificial structure, i.e. non-organic, non-carbon? So I think these are questions which frame the bigger picture of intelligence, and we are perhaps being too anthropocentric, just talking about intelligence in terms of the vessels which house the intelligence. Well, as you can see, I've been talking just spontaneously as I do here without a script. These are some of the thoughts that occurred to me, and I'd like to take them further, and I think I will take them further when I talk about these books separately in another space. But these thoughts of coincidence, and maybe coincidences are intelligent nudges, came to me just because of what I've been reading, what I heard on my Telegram channel, and my own experience on YouTube. So where do we go from there? Let's see. For the next perspectives, may the Earth, I don't know if I've got it now, the Earth Coincidence Control Office, may it be looking after you, looking over you, and nudging you in the right direction. So until next time, stay well. As always, stay grounded. Cheers.